Good morning. It's a beautiful Thursday. This is Xyz, and the program is Morning Update. And I'm sure today you are very well energized, charged to also contribute your quota to the development of this country. Yesterday, I failed to do something big. A good friend of ours, head of client service, Linda Majite, yesterday was her birthday. And somebody who owns TV XYZ, or didn't birthday, na me betna ha, na me to me and wishing a happy birthday, and so for all those who love Linda for her services, and of course our clients who have engaged there over the years, who expected, because some of you knew that we're going to wish her a happy birthday through our set. I'm sure some of you may have been asking, Anna, and birthday. Today I want to say, Linda, belated happy birthday. She's a lovely lady, isn't it?
She is.
Very lovely.
Ms. Shaw, there's also a message in there somewhere. Ms. Shamwa, the boyfriends of Linda that we don't know are her boyfriends, no? So please, we are waiting for the present.
Emani. Okay, so this morning, I'm sure you know, when we say Ghana, every day something very worrying happens. Some positive. I took two things out from proceedings in Parliament yesterday. One was the swift action by the Speaker of Parliament to refer the MP for Ascent Central, Kennedy Japan, to the Privileges Committee of Parliament. I remember he has been referred there before, and we don't know how it ended. Public interest is high because this is a different Parliament, and many expect to see something coming out of this because Ghanaians say it is now getting out of hand. Kennedy Japan is not above the law. He's a member of Parliament. He's supposed to be an honorable political figure whose actions should impact positively and not necessarily incite the public and provoke a section of the public. It's all about the threat on a journalist for, and his crime is simple, for covering the Ejura violent protest live. Maybe the live coverage exposed the brute force used by the security personnel, especially the soldiers. I don't know if that is why he was provoked to have issued open threats on him. And then we also know that the back and forth over free SHS and whether the West African senior high school students are doing well or whether they are having enough time for instructional hours and for which reason they are passing very well also came up. It was a simple question. How much did government spend on PASCO for the students? And of course, I'll share a screenshot of the response by the Minister for Education as captured in the parliamentary Wibakase Hansard and so on for you to read. And I'll read sections and it will pop up on the screen. Government spent a whopping let me put the figure this way, a whopping 34 million cedis for 1 year. So for the 2 years, government has spent more than 63 million cedis on PASCO. I want to read the excerpt. Dr. Osei Educhum revealed that government has purchased 444,954 past questions at a unit price of 78 cedis for the 2020 WASI exams. And this is an increase of about 32% of the figure recorded or the unit price for the same in 2020. Now, let me just give you a breakdown. The Ministry of Education, and I'm quoting what Dr. Educhum has said, it says, Mr. Speaker, in 2020, government through its efforts to help students amidst COVID-19 to prepare them for the 2020 WASI, that's West African Senior School Certificate Examination, procured 568,755 past questions for students to try their hands on before sitting the actual exams. And it goes ahead to talk about the fact that government has taken this decision because government thought it wise to support the students. I've listened to him severally, and I'm sure if you watch the screen, you can read along how much we have spent. Now, in 2020, it was about 33.5 million cedis. Now, this is raising a lot of eyebrows. Many are asking, What is the value for money beyond the unit price per the question that's past questions bought for the students? Is that value for money to spend so much, over 33 million cedis 1 year, for past questions for students to prepare for exams, when the same schools may be crying out for the necessary resources to be able to accommodate students properly? I'll be speaking to Dr. Clement Park. He's the MP for Bulsa South. He's also the deputy ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament. Actually, Dr. Park was the MP who asked a question. So the minister's response has brought out all these revelations. And I'm told Dr. Park is on the line. Doc, good morning. Okay, so the line has dropped and we are making an effort to get Dr. Park. Abna, are the papers carrying any concern about this controversy over past questions for students and the cost involved?
Well, the ones I have seen so far, no. It mostly borders on the car loans for MPs that have been approved, the tax waivers, and also the youth in Wenchi also being angry, and some witnesses.
Okay, so while we wait for Dr. Park, because his line is very busy, and I would wish that we speak to him quickly before it even jumps after 7 o'clock. Let's do a few of the headline stories on the front pages of the papers.
But before you do that, please never forget that this show is proudly brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural, no artificial additives. And I'm paying to because my makeup artist is back just for 2 days, but still, Miss Sharma, you can follow her Instagram page. Her handle is glamby_Mimi GH. Follow her now, you know, get beautified by her as well. Numbers not for X Natural Mineral Water near 0540-585-599 and that's 0243-249-245. Sorry, you can start.
No, you go ahead with your papers. Okay. I'm making a quick.
So I'm starting with the Daily Dispatch. Now it says MPs will be getting $11 million tax waivers on their $28 million car loans. NDC on Chief Justice's bribery allegations as well. Now this says Ghana government platform will block 3 Ghana cedi billion revenue leakage yearly. This is coming from the Vice President Baumia. Also, witness tells court how he was given late JB Dankwa's phone to charge. On the back page, it says Accra Academy to unveil recording studio. This is the first of its kind, and I am happy that gradually the creative arts is finding a way to be polished, because not too long ago a secondary school was also opened for that. Now, local textile makers want 2-year extension on 0 VAT rate. This is on the front page of the Business and Financial Times. Buidam, also the power water level falls critically low. Now, 2021 power supply hinges more on thermal plants. The IES demands proper coordination to guarantee fuel supply. Delays also in fertilizer payments threaten PFJ's sustainability. Debts apparently have lingered for 2 solid years. Rising food prices, hike in transport fares push June inflation up to 7.8%. So
let me do the daily graphic. I have the Ghanaian Times as well. The big story on the front page of the daily graphic says, Agric Ministry alert, prolonged drought worrying low food production in 4 region. So it comes with a picture. I think it's a maize plantation, and you can appreciate the drought in that part of the country. Actually, these are the food baskets, and so this is quite disturbing. Now, the other story here says MPs receive salaries arrears not ex gratia. Majority Chief Whip clarifies. Yesterday, there was another interesting story coming from Parliament about MPs and car loans. What we are picking is that the Finance Committee of Parliament is saying that the $28 million allocated for car loans for this year must be approved. The $3.5 million allocated for car loans for members of the Council of State must be approved. Then after this year, subsequently, they should stop the car loan business for MPs. And many people are asking, is it that now they don't care about the consent today, and so give it to us now? And in future, maybe 2024, would look at it. Now, the other story on the front page says COVID-19 surge, intensive care units, testing facilities not overstretched. So Ghana Health Service is reacting to the Infectious Disease Center, which raised concern about choked ICU center at the Ga East Hospital. Center spread of the Daily Graphic, regulators must improve investment environment. That's what Kwame Pienim is also advising. So that's it on the center spread of the Daily Graphic.
There's a disturbing story here. So there was an accident on the motorway, I think early this week or late last week, which killed some of the workers in there because the tipper truck went straight into the booth. And the son of the worker has come out to say his father apparently had not been paid for a very long time. A lot of complaints are on there. It's quite sad. We do have money to pay, I mean, first and second ladies, and even pay for ministers, what's it called, V8 and whatnot, and we won't pay our workers who are actually doing something.
Well, I know that that project, sometimes they subcontract it to private people to manage if it's the toll booth. And so it is worrying that they have not been paid for months. But if they are also quiet and they have not raised it until the father died, it's another issue. But I believe that some of these private institutions must actually be supervised, because the Ghana Road Fund is monitoring some of these revenues that are generated at the toll booths. And so if the people working there are not paid, obviously they will shortchange the state. So they will issue that tickets for people and then take the money and move on.
Let's just pray they care enough to monitor. That's
okay, Ghanaian Times on its front page says, GJ demands prompt action from national security, and Kennedy Japan dragged before the Privileges Committee. These are stories captured on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. But the big story says, proposed toll increase to fix roads. Don't hike road tolls. Two transport unions kick against the proposal. So that's it on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. The back page says the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has promised to fix roads in Sisala area, and national policy for aflatoxin control drafted. So if you grab a copy of the Ghanaian Times and you are fortunate enough to see the headlines at the back page, I'm sure you take a copy and read the details for yourself. Now, these are the papers I have for now.
Yes, so I'm whetting your appetite this morning. Ebia, you don't understand why we complain about the 28 million that has been approved for the minister's vehicles. So these are the pictures of the vehicles. So I'm whetting your appetite. And I said something on Power, that the youth are tired of the way the system is and they'll rise up. And no angry Wenchi youth set Chief's house and Washing Bay ablaze. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do.
And what is the reason for that?
It's still in regards to what happened. They haven't given a verdict yet. They are still investigating, isn't it? Yeah. So they want. I haven't actually delved into the story.
Is it Wenchi?
So yeah, Wenchi.
Then Wenchi will be a different area. Is that what you are referring to? Because this obviously will be a chieftaincy related issue. But I want you to read the details. Yesterday we spoke about a threat on a journalist, and the speaker has taken an action. Yesterday, I was monitoring Mahama Yarega when he was speaking on the floor of Parliament. We've captured excerpts. I want you to watch how the Speaker of Parliament eventually issued directives to the Privileges Committee to invite Kennedy Japan to appear to answer questions on why he wants Erastus Asaridonko to be beaten. Same comments led to the killing of Ahmed Swale. When we come back, I'll now tell you more about the Wenchi story.
Mr. Speaker, my basis is on the conduct of the said member on his own television network, which has caused another network, Joy FM, to refer him to the CID for investigation. Mr. Speaker, the letter from Multimedia to the CID quotes what he said on his show. Mr. Speaker, I also have a copy of the said program as attached to the petition sent to the CID. And this letter by Multimedia is dated July 13, 2021, where he is copiously referred to as the chairman of the Committee of Defense and Interior. And Mr. Speaker, for those utterances to be attributed to the committee chairman of this House, Mr. Speaker, I think it calls for the attention of this House, for the chairman of the Committee of Defense and Interior to go public and urge that the president, the commander-in-chief, beats people, physically assaults people. He says, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, that if he were the president of Ghana, he would have ensured that the said journalist, Erastus Asaridonko, is beaten mercilessly. Mr. Speaker, he says that, in fact, Erastus Asaridonko should be beaten seriously. And, Mr. Speaker, this comes in the wake of another such utterances he made in relation to Ahmed Swale, which led, in the view of some people, to the identity of Ahmed Swale being compromised and eventually murdered. Mr. Speaker, I think that as a former journalist, I feel obliged, Mr. Speaker, to draw the House's attention to this conduct of an honorable colleague of this House, which in my view, brings this House into disrepute. And so, Mr. Speaker, I urge you to exercise your powers under 27 and refer this conduct of the honorable member, which is becoming unacceptable, to the Privileges Committee to ascertain the veracity of the comments that were made and recommend sanctions, if possible, that will act as deterrent for future, outings of the honorable member and other members who may be tempted to act like him.
Honorable members, this motion, as rightly stated, comes under Order 78A, and they are, it being an interruption, is also covered under Order 91B. Was interruptions are matters of point of order. And so, to interrupt the work flow of the House, you need to refer to that order too. And that order deals with matter of privilege suddenly arising. Well, as to whether it suddenly arose is an issue. But the House's attention is drawn to the conduct of one of our members. And under Order 27, which I want to quote in extenso, it says, notwithstanding.
And so we have to give the credit to TV3, 3 News, because they have packaged this excerpt of proceedings in Parliament yesterday about how the Speaker eventually referred this particular case to the Privileges Committee. Ghanaians have been observing how the state and institutions have managed issues that provoke the public. Selective justice is inappropriate. It is more than enough for one individual to ride over almost everybody and assume that he's an untouchable person. I am challenging the Privileges Committee of Parliament to demonstrate that indeed they are ready to crack the whip. And of course, I'm also challenging the office of the Speaker of Parliament that if perception about Parliament and the actions by some members are seen to be such that they protect their own and do not want to set good examples, if they cannot deal with this, then it doesn't make sense for Parliament to say that any other Ghanaian will be hauled before the Privileges Committee for commentary that denigrates the integrity or persons in the House of Parliament. Let us see Parliament acting fairly. Abna, you have the Wenchi story now. Yes,
I'll just read one paragraph. So it says, angry youth in Wenchi in the Bunu region have set ablaze the house and the washing bay of Nana Ameyao, a sub-chief and businessman, on suspicion that he orchestrated the killing of a 55-year-old old farmer Adamu Wahab.
Yeah, so it's sad. It's sad, but we would stop here. Wisdom is standing by. And I told you this morning, Dr. Park's phone is going to be like hot cake because it's very shocking, Abena. You see, you have a country where you have senior high schools, and we know the double track is being run because government has not been able to raise enough resource to build all the additional infrastructure we need at this time. Parents are suffering because of this. School heads are complaining that it got to a stage students have to be sleeping on the floor. You saw the Koforidua Sectech school.
Yeah.
And so if you have money, it's like you have money in your pocket. Does it make sense that you go and take 34 million cedis? It's big money.
It is.
34 million cedis.
But this and many more in the news.
Hold on. 34 million cedis.
Time.
I have to.
It's 7 o'clock.
Wait.
And our
when
news
you do that,
is ready. So
Abena, you have not been fair to me. Abena,
is
listen,
on standby. We'll take
listen.
the news now.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always brave, fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
You still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadrum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
AutoChecks.
And coming up in the next 15 minutes or more, Finance Committee of Parliament recommend an end to car loans for MPs and Council of State members, but not after a whopping $28 million for the STEM. Details and reaction of that story coming up. Also, MP for Idra welcomes decision for MC to bar out, but says that is not enough as long as the Ashanti Regional Minister continues to stay at post. And a little later, Pokwase Interchange will tell you as motorists highlight key challenges as MTTD continues to assess impact on the newly opened Pokwase Interchange. Details of these and all other stories coming up. Please stay with us. Grateful that you could join us. My name is Westom. Let's begin the bulletin from Parliament. And with some controversy, because this time it's about the commitment of MPs towards the mounting pressure on leadership to end the car loan scheme, which critics describe as a drain on the public purse. Now, Xyz News has learned Parliament Finance Committee is ignoring calls for the rejection of the whopping 28 million cedis for disbursement as car loans for MPs and $3.5 million for members of the Council of State. But this may be the last of such approvals. The committee is thus urging Parliament and the Parliamentary Service Board to take necessary steps to ensure that provision is discontinued. And portion of the statement read, quote, accordingly, the committee strongly recommends to Parliament the discontinuation of the current vehicle loan agreement for MPs and Council of State members of Parliament and members of the Council of State which have similar duty post arrangement as other Article 71 office holders. And the committee respectfully recommends that Parliament and Parliamentary Service takes the necessary step to ensure that is happened. Now, Xyz News has been speaking to a cross-section of the public for their reaction on this matter. Let's hear them.
That one is not good. They should buy their own cars and then they give them some allowances for maintenance. And then when you go on any duty, you are paid for fuel.
Enjoy it. Na mentin penifo na se. Sebi previous obi tie kurase. Na so onimu nyasa yesi wan ko school. Na ebedu krom so na yeyire wan ko school no so a na entimi afa ya de papa. Na eni kurase na sebi previous wan ko school nyina na ye no mo yepe. Eti ma se ye betena bonten so na aka wi akire mpenifo. Na se mpenifo so tena se. Na se ne mo yokoso a. Na brochi na mutu kwa akono. E de na mo koy no.
Doesn't make sense. Once people are under trees, there is no room for them to learn. Education is going down. Security, everything is going down. Wayward. And you say you are going in for a loan to come and buy cars. You went in for loan to come and establish bank. Once you close another banks, what are you talking about?
Now, government usually pays 60% of the loan with the accrued interest, while the beneficiaries pay 40% through. Although there have been instances where some MPs have defaulted in repayment of the loan. So let's turn attention to some other stories. And motorists, particularly commercial drivers, say the Pokwase interchange has drastically reduced the traffic along the Awoshi-Pokwase-Amansaman stretch, and the impact on the movement of goods and services cannot be overemphasized. Now, they are ever complaining about some engineering lapses affecting commuters in particular and residents in sprawling communities in the area. In the following report, you'll appreciate more. The fourth-tier Awoshi-Pokwase interchange is expected to drastically reduce the traffic at Pokwase Junction by easing the streams of traffic that conflict on the Awoshi-Pokwase area and the Accra-Kumasi Highway. The project, which involved the construction of the ACP junction to Awoshi to Nsawam Road, 2 footbridges, widening of the Nsawam Road by 2 kilometers, drainage works, provision of street lights, and the construction of 12 kilometers of town road is already making huge impact. Commuters, especially workers who used to leave home before 5 a.m. to their offices in Accra for fear of being held up in traffic, say they feel much relieved now. The headache now, especially for motorists, including commercial drivers, is what they describe as a defect in the design which results in traffic build-up at the exits. Some of the drivers blame this on the absence of U-turns and parking lots. Xyz News has been engaging some of the drivers for their views.
Yeah, in China, you room access no. Oman, who free Pokwase na wo ba high White House junction. He says, "Oh, free go na wo ba." He's open na no Pokwase. They tell us open na no wo. Second, why no mo ye no? So come here and run about. I was so my and can you the best way?
By never be blue, you could have enemy and quite you. Almost some be a U-turn. And yes, I did. Almost plenty U-turn be walk. Bridge in the shore. So, send the department and back. obetumi ayɛ dɛ atwa U-turn ayɛ dɛ because they say ha obetwa U-turn abasia kɔ White House akyi ha ada so bɛkɔ popular.
Other complaints involve residents in sprawling communities along the major highway who do not have easy access.
White House and a high bar and a high hat house. And the only away we can up to Cabrina and to be over saying what's on your back. I saw the floor of the head, long process. I had done a part. It's my phone. What's your way?
Head of Education, Research and Training at the Police MTTD, DSP Alexander Obing, who was at location to assist drivers and to assess impact, also spoke to TV Xyz News.
Say, you are society. Say, Ufi, go, Ikwa, back to Kesimu, Gutiano, Ayane, and Opa. The very morning, rush hour, Ayanuka. Yeah, can the Jumra, go say, or more moving crime, back with Tia, Elbobrassino. Once or more killing ya about Fanco, at the fro, badge on Tay, and the Bissania, sanity to win a woman, and yet at the forefront.
Now let's still stay on development-oriented stories and this time dash straight to the central region. Chifu Atimokwa to be specific. Now the people there are crying out for help to complete an abandoned school project. In this following report, you'll appreciate their plight.
The school, according to opinion leaders, was established in 1986. It has not seen any major expansion or renovation. Teachers are compelled to cope with this dilapidated structure, which leaves students at the mercy of the weather, especially when it rains. Indigenes of Nkohuno and nearby communities have tried in the past to save the structure from collapsing by providing clay and bricks through communal labor. TV Xyz News has learned in 2011 this work on this uncompleted 6-unit classroom block began. The project, which included a staff common room and an office, was awarded through the GET Fund. But it has since been abandoned and the pupils still learn under harsh conditions in this death trap, especially the KG block. Local chiefs and opinion leaders say their other headache is the reluctance of teachers to accept posting.
The committee has been able to put wattle and dab structure to house the children, but this is not appropriate. If indeed they had finished with the classroom block, it would have served a good purpose. But it has been abandoned for 8 good years, which the children and the teachers are suffering.
Na wo say teacher for no omopon nkwala no o tu wani hwe bibia nkwala nketenkete crèche for no e wona utunu say e ho no enye kra enti owo kra tumi epie omoso e ma omunyina epie fi dining.
Opinion leaders say the DCE for the area is yet to address several petitions demanding the release of funds to complete the abandoned project. He is said to have sent a delegation to assess the situation, but has not yet announced the timelines. Community members are therefore appealing to NGOs, philanthropists, MTN Foundation, and other related organizations interested in improving access to needy communities to come to their aid.
And now MC for Seche Odumase has become the first to suffer consequences after Kaka's death, which triggered violent protest and the killing of 2.
The death of Ibrahim Mohammed, alias Kaka, and the subsequent violent protests resulting in the killing of 2 by soldiers, pressures have been mounting on the president to fire the Ejura Seche Odumase MCE, Mohammed Salisu Bamba. Critics claim the unknown tags who beat the late Kaka to pulp. The cause of his death are the MCE's aides or bodyguards. But he denied when he appeared before the Justice George Kingsley Kumson.
Do you have a bodyguard?
I have 1 police bodyguard that I work with sometimes.
You have 1 police escort?
Yes.
So personally, apart from that official escort, you don't have any personal bodyguard?
I don't have a personal bodyguard.
So why did they say that these two are part of your bodyguards?
That is the politics of it. That's what I was talking about.
The acting MCE, who has been accused of complicity, has officially pulled out. In his letter to the chairman of the committee vetting applicants, copied to the presidency, Mohammed Salisu Bamba said his action is purely humanitarian to ensure there is peace in the municipality and for the general unity and growth of the MPP. He thanked the president for the opportunity and the people of Ejura Sechere Dumase for their votes that made him a member of parliament in the 6th parliament between 2013 and 2017. His action may not come as a surprise, but some are already reading meanings that he could not have been reappointed because of the potential backlash at the president Nana Akufo-Addo and may have been advised to withdraw from the race. The committee, which demanded a 10-day extension of its probe into the Ejura violence, will officially complete its work this weekend.
Now, we'll still stay at Ejura because MP for the area, Mohammed Bawa Brahima, says the MC's decision is welcome, but the Ashanti Regional Minister must also go.
Say, Mohammed Bawa Brahima is one of those who called for the head of the MCE after the death of Ibrahim Mohammed alias Kaka. Besides potential cover-up, he maintained that the thugs who reportedly beat up the social media activist Kaka did so to please Mohammed Salisu Bamba, the MCE, who should have been sacked with immediate effect. The NDC MP welcomed news about the decision to pull out of the MCE race, but tells TV Xyz News he's not surprised.
As to his withdrawal from seeking re-nomination for his from His Excellency the President, didn't come to me as a surprise, because for me, I knew he wouldn't be nominated, because if he would have been nominated, he would ask to reapply again, because mostly continuing MPs, they just announce their names, or continuous MC, sorry, they just announce their names to go to their respective assemblies for approval.
On the ongoing public hearing, the MP said he will not avail himself to testify if he's called because he does not trust the committee and the mode of proceedings. The NDC MP maintains that the regional minister must equally be held responsible. He also faulted the committee for prejudicial commentaries indicating the media and the protesters are guilty.
So me, I'm least enthused about the work of the committee. I know it's a means that they have just, doing to see if they can maybe do some. But this kind of cover-ups, it's not helping, because it keeps tension within the people. If I were to be His Excellency the President, I would have fired the regional minister straight away when he said that he unilaterally deployed the military to Ejura.
Now, business mogul and philanthropist Nick Abiem Danso, who recently was recognized for his philanthropic work and the impact on young lives, have been sharing his experiences. Now, Nick Danso Abiem, whose name surfaced recently during protest over the Ghana Link project, is daring critics to go back and assess impact on lives so far.
Business mogul and philanthropist Nick Danso Abiem was speaking to a section of the media on his African's Biggest Star Award of the decade, conferred on him recently by Initiators of Change Foundation, a non-governmental organization established in 2006 for advocacy on governance, poverty reduction, empowerment, and human development. Nick Danso Abiem, who took advantage to share his experience, said the path to success is about loyalty, strong discipline, to excellence and perseverance. According to him, the secret beyond the strong attributes mentioned earlier is also about focus, be it the private or public sector. Mr. Abiem owns a group of companies, including Ghana Link, Alec Inspection Company, Royal Nick Hotels Chain, Nick TC Scan Ghana, and Sierra Leone, among others. Said, the journey may seem short, but for him has been long, enduring but rewarding today because of the high level of commitment.
Me shemu bosse me jina pintin abiebia adwuma no ama aso nipa bebre so ama nkrofo anya omo salary adidi de akomu fi ama adibia hwe omo asefo sa ade ya mode abehye manimonyame ahye mi nkran a mo besa ba na se next ayibi ebehia na companies no ebi abeko ho.
On the widespread perception and suspicions about how the Ghana Link contract was signed, Nick Danso Abiam said the prime focus now should be a proper assessment of the dividends. He said efficiency, increased revenue generation is a success story today.
The system needs to compete with European and American and China and Japan, South Korea. This is what we have. Ye government, that's a ye government, no. Ebiana domestic tax ni nyama timbi wuremwa na aye papa.
Kofi Gwan is the executive director of NGO Initiators of Change Foundation.
We're Africa's business star of the decade. So they are all here at the bois of my Ghana or the bois a bibrim any penny on the idea. If you know teacher, they are all here.
Now, if you are a pensioner above 72 and show your certificates are renewed before September 1 or risk deletion of your name and benefit, this is according to SNIT, who says that the 30th August deadline will not be extended.
According to the notice, all retired beneficiaries yet to renew or complete their pensioner certificate have up to August 30 to do so or risk further payments. Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, says about 13,000 names risk deletion from its payroll effective September 1, in line with the new policy. This category reflects persons aged 72 and above who receive monthly pension but are yet to complete or renew their pensioner certificates. The trust has so far saved about 144 million Ghana cedis from the deactivation of accounts of 11,478 pensioners since 2018. Acting Public Affairs Manager Charles Akwe Gershon, who spoke to TV Xyz News, says those likely to be affected must visit the nearest SNIT office to go through the process. Mr. Gershon said those incapacitated or have mobility challenges can contact its district or regional offices to schedule a home visit to complete the exercise.
When you retire and you go on, we will put you on the monthly pension. Your pension is paid for life. So long as you're alive, you keep receiving your pension.
Okay.
However, from age 72, we need to be certain that you're alive, else your pension will be stopped.
Okay.
So beyond 72, every year you need to come and do what you call pensioner certificate renewal. So if you don't renew your pensioner certificate, your name will be deleted. When the COVID started somewhere last year, we stopped this renewal of the pensioner certificate because we realized it was going to create some inconvenience for the pensioners. So that has been in place till now. As a result, we realized people who are above 72, about 14,000 and over, have not renewed their pensioner certificate. We cannot be certain whether they are alive or not. So from August, or they've been given up to end of August to renew their certificates. So from 1st September, anyone who has not renewed their pensioner certificate, the name will be deleted from the SNIT pension payroll.
SNIT also says, in line with its new policy to integrate national identification and SNIT numbers, all contributors must henceforth carry along their Ghana cards anytime they visit for assistance to merge the numbers. Public Affairs Manager Charles Akwe Gershon says, beginning January next year, it shall be mandatory for all subsequent contributors to use their national ID cards.
We've given every worker, or every worker has up to the 31st of December this year to ensure that the numbers have been merged. So we don't want to get to that point. But the law is requiring that we all need to have an NI card to be able to access pension services in the country. So up to 31st December, 6 months is enough time for all of us to measure our numbers. Beyond that, it means you are going to deny yourself the opportunity to access pension in the pension services in the country. So let's not deny ourselves. Let's try and do the measure. But from next year, all employers will be required to pay their contribution, the contribution of members using their NIN number.
SNIT pensioner certificates are issued to pensioners aged 72 who retired under PNDC Law 247 and 75 years for those who retired under Act 766 and renewed annually. This is a mechanism put in place by the trust to ensure that pension is paid to only retirees who are alive.
And before we go, the police in Ho are keeping 3 notorious armed robbers nabbed on the Kpando Highway with offensive weapons in custody after their first appearance in court.
Middle-aged hardened criminals, according to the Volta Regional Police Commander, are notorious for highway robberies in the Kpando, Alavanyo, Jasikan, Peki areas. Items found in their possession included 3 foreign pistols with serial numbers obliterated, 40 rounds of 9mm ammunition, 27 assorted mobile phones, and 3 Toshiba laptops. Volta Regional Police Commander DCOP Edward Oduro Kwating, who updated the media on crime combat, says the suspect were apprehended during routine spot checks. Prosecution has begun and the court has remanded all into police custody. The police says initial investigation shows the Toyota saloon car they were driving was acquired by one of the suspects in Togo without documents.
July 2021, the Rapid Deployment Force patrol team stationed along the Pando-Ho-Have motor road intercepted Toyota Corolla with registration number AC 1621-18 with the suspects. Suspects were taken through thorough routine checks and the following items were retrieved: 3 foreign pistols with serial numbers obliterated, 40 rounds of 9mm ammunition, 27 assorted mobile phones, and 3 Toshiba laptops. Preliminary investigations revealed that all 27 assorted mobile phones were marked with price tags. 2 hoodie pullovers, black and green, were retrieved from the suspect's bags.
The suspects are to reappear before the court next Thursday, July 22.
And on that note, we draw the curtains on this morning's update on TVXYZ. As always, do log on to our online portals at tvxyzonline.com and get updated. My name is Wisdom Hedejome. Good morning.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you. Welcome to the Royal Dazzle Event Center. With a lush and well-maintained lawn and garden, you are assured of the best serene and comfortable atmosphere to organize all your family and social events. Live the royal moments here with friends and family. The hosting capacity of 600 to 800 people makes Royal Dazzle the most versatile of places to host weddings, parties, funerals, conferences, concerts, and many more. Create your memories with us. Call us for inquiries on 055-814-8585 or 024-620-2144, or pass by and speak to any of our friendly staff. Locate us at My John, close to Zoom Lion headquarters. Royal Dazzle Event Center, creating memories.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. AutoChecks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
AutoChecks.
Welcome back to the morning update. My name is Nana Abuna. So today I have a special guest in the studio, but I'll also pick a phone in with a very renowned fashion designer, Tony Edu. We'll be speaking to him today with regards to the World Youth Skills Day. Gone are the days where maid, house helps, or bets now in China, I catch or say, oh, after 2 years, to machine manu, na yemfani kosunya juma, and I say, Mkala, Sebi, Omuni, my dear school, no, na yama advice, so, or drew ABI JSS3, na so, Choni B's here, Pefani kosunya juma. These days, even those in the public sector, private sector, those that are doing white-collar jobs also have other things they do on the side. Take me, for instance. During the COVID, I learned how to bake. Into these days, I bake home service. Oh, you say yours. Calm down. I know someone also who has a different skill set but is working a white-collar job as well. And to say, you know, there's a lot of people that are getting into it because we've realized that I mean, the Bible even says about talent, and you have to eat with that talent. And yes, now this year, the theme for the World Youth Skills Day is reimagining the youth skills post-pandemic. You also agree with me when I say COVID has affected every sector, but most especially those that are into or have the skill sets to do things. And I say this because he or she has to put the tape measure all over, you know, every part of you, from your neck to your shoulder to what's not. Biana or COVID. When you be makeup artist. Take her also, for instance, she has to work on my face. She's working around my nose. She's working around my eyes, my mouth. She's also at risk. And we'll talk to Tony, as I indicated. During the pandemic, you know, how were they able to sustain their businesses? And they're trying to take their measurements. What did they do differently? How lucrative is the business? How did he start? It will motivate you also as well. You still have the backdated mentality that school and please. But I also have what's your name again? Wisdom. Wisdom in the studio, because conversation, I want to take it from both angles. Wisdom, you're a news anchor.
Yes.
You're a journalist. You're And what else?
I'm a church leader.
You're a church leader. Yes. Or you're also for. Auntie, do you have a special skill set apart from the white collar job?
I'm a barber.
You're a barber?
Yes.
Is that how you started off and then, you know, you paid your school fees with the barbering? How did it start?
No, not necessarily. I didn't pay school fees with barbering. So basically, while I was in boarding house, I was sent to school at a very tender age. Around class 5, I was sent to the boarding house because I was... Okay. No, I wasn't Akola.
Okay.
So what happened was, boarding house, no, Akola bi ba school na omututu ni 3 hon. So I was like, I didn't know what mama do about school na 223 hon sa. Anyway, they meet me ehun bibi. Nti me fa blade. And I'm a day to afeno so na obi iti. So I tried say okay, anyway, I'm sure say me so meet me ayebia. So from there no, so from class 5 to say JHS days in high school ni na me to me iti. Nti SS na me nya acquaintance. And I'm to me to machine bi. Nti you know say SS it was illegal for us to use electrical gadgets.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is that we go and hide in the dormitory when all the seniors had left. Then we'll try and then be trimming the hairs of our colleagues. And so that's how come I ventured into barbering. And I felt it was a very nice job to do because you get the opportunity to hold your teacher's head. Your teacher.
Why do I sense?
You know, there was this particular math teacher, na ni timi edin pa. And it's also unya ni say uyi ni tia. You know, that kind of a thing.
But most importantly, I'm sure you were having fun with it. You were making extra cash, and we like to make extra cash, especially around that time. Why did you forgo that and decide to venture into something else?
It wasn't paying much. It wasn't paying much. That's one. And then again, the establishment, you didn't have the means or the land to do establishment. So what we'll do is that over the weekend, you carry your bag, like how the Oyadi people do their thing, your password, your machine, which are now, that kind of a thing. So you have your scissors, you have your sanitizer, you have all your other things, your spray, sanitizer, the spraying alcohol and everything with your scissors, machine. And then so you go to people's home and then you do home services for them. But you ask yourself, how sustainable was it? Especially when you go to one home and they may say, okay, we are having a bit of engagement, so you'd have to give us some time. You could spend 1 hour, 2 hours still waiting on them because you need that 5 cities, you need that 6 cities. But then if you had your own shop, you are there, and as and when they come, you're able to charge more.
Somebody will also argue that the mobile ones are actually more lucrative than the stationary ones.
The thing is, if you do the mobile barbering, they see you are not professional. That's the perception they have. You are not professional. And then in our part of the world where we're looking at hiring professionals and doing all our jobs, you could have people who are not necessarily gone to school, they haven't trained in that particular area, but can do a very decent and diligent job for you. But we're looking at only certificates. You get it.
Are you still doing it as a side job, or don't worry, you won't get fired?
Yeah. Well, I still do it.
You still do it as a side job?
On weekends sometimes. Not every time, but most
do you ever think of doing it full time? Because when you started and now, there's been a lot of changes. I think now salons make more money.
Yes.
So do you think of ever doing that full time?
Of course, when I grow. It's one of the things that I'd want to consider when I grow. Because now, if you look at it, it's becoming a very lucrative, or it has even become. Ladies like your type, now many of them don't want to do the natural braids with this kinds of oils they put inside and all of that. People are now cutting short their hair. You come to the salon, we have to dye it for you. If you're a man, you need some dye, black dye, they call it yombo, these kinds of things. Some people want to have a certain color to their hair and all of that. So it's something that we may want to, me for example, when I grow, I would want to consider.
But say, you know, they charge it based on the niceness of the shop.
Exactly.
And he said, oh yeah, not so your shop near year. Bet me I charge it based on that. Don't you think so?
Last month,
okay.
and then me call you no share send your my setting na me body
put a pin in that thought. I have Tony Edu as promised. We'll be talking to Tony Edu. He is the CEO for Tony Black Couture. Okay, I'm kind of say couture. Couture dienche. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you? I like the energy this morning.
You can't complain every day. You just have to be okay when you wake up. Since the election have gotten us.
Right, awesome. Tony, I know, for me, I know where you started. Obviously, I don't know the background, how you got into it and whatnot. And take us back a little. Because knowing also the status of your father, which of course we will not discuss here, how difficult or easy was this? Or how do you, first of all, how did you pick up the interest in the first place?
I got the interest when I think it's in the genes, because my mom has been a fashion designer way back in Nigeria for 40 years and settled down in Ghana. And so I got that flair when I was in St. Peter's Secondary School. I was sketching, and now something called Aprodo. I was getting out from school, coming to MTOGH, coming to Kofi Ansan to give out some designs out. What I was able to do, I was at that kind of age. And so I got an interest in saying, okay, then let me go into fashion after secondary school. But funny enough, my mom and dad didn't want me to be a fashion designer. They wanted me to be in the law.
I understand.
So I struggled enough. And fees wasn't paid for some kind of time. I need to do alterations for people before I could get kind of money and pay up fees and all those stuff. But at the end of the day, it was something that I was focused and ready to do it. It wasn't something that I was like, okay, let me just go into it and just do it anyhow. I was focused, and it wasn't easy. The time of you even getting to classes was something, because it got to a time I need to do alterations from somewhere like Kaswa, which I didn't have machines. And so picking a car from there to even lectures was something. And so even sometimes I need to pick that time. We have that double-decker bus. I need to sit at the top of it. When I see the mates coming, I go downwards, and they get me every time and drop me off.
Right.
And so it wasn't easy. It's far pay enough.
Okay. Now, in terms when it comes to friends, and now for Mono, and again, you know, because your dad has a certain status, it means that the friends that you had before, you know, also, you know, some of them probably were close to you because of that. How did that change for you when you, because those times, so I'm a friend Taylor, how did that change for you?
Because if you are coming out even from your house and all your friends know that you are going to a fashion school, like at the farm schools, so sometimes I don't even get out from the main gate. I drop off from the wall to the next house, and I move away from the area.
So what kept you going? What kept you going in spite of all this? I mean, your parents not being in support, your friends also making fun of you. How did you survive this?
What kept me going was I was focused, and I told myself I need to make something for my future. No matter how my dad and mom's money that is there, I need to make ends meet for my own future, not anyone, because I need to make it.
Right.
And as a man, I don't have to rely on anyone to make it. I need to rely on myself and make it up.
Okay. Tony, the other my other audience are missing out in here. The tree in the fra. Why, Mr.
Okay.
For Obia Ote and Chaya Abia OTA, and you know, in our society, it's more about go school, beye ejuma way, beye lawyer, beye say. Abia collaborate in Chaya person or pama dear, or person or makeup, or person so on who kind of first or beye, because in his or her mind, you know, is a demeaning profession. How lucrative is this business?
Business
yes.
Is a multi-billion-dollar business. Why am I saying that? If you can see now the trend that we are going in, people go to the university and now come into the fashion industry. Why is it like that? We are the only industry that employs so much people. If you do the survey across this nation, just only Ghana, you see the number of employment that this fashion industry has created. When it came to even we saving lives, when it came to COVID, you saw that because nose mask, no one could go to China to bring in nose mask. Now, nose mask is even generating revenue for government because we do nose mask and export out. You understand? And the Obi Peso business way more a whole tika because we have millionaires, billionaires that are making it. Fashion designers, makeup artists, they are illustrators. Ghana Hanum, Oka, Muska or Ghana Hanumwa. Your fashion designers or Mokamo. They are Nora Banaman, Nalem, you understand? Christy Brown, Jabba Sewa. There are names that I could mention, there are brands that I could mention. That and you know the funny thing enough. But be a designer mekono. Obi obo suit and tie on Timin Koko. You understand? Apart from it being like said, me come at the end. And now you don't say say man goes to and do baby. Yes, me go to the pump. That's a few you see anyhow because you see the pump crana or algebra expression a kind of illustration is mad. And I'm it's time because the fabric needs to be what well known. I need to understand the fabrics. The science of it, it's a whole kind of business that you need to understand. So, what you attract me? Open make it. Me at the permanent atomic cars, you understand?
Yeah.
My kids go to a good school and everything. I'm okay. I could travel anytime I want out. It's the same way Obi Beko street and tie on so like I said. Also, but then, of course, street and tie on the but we make it.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I patrol.
When God created Adam and Eve, when they stand against him, what did he do? He said, "Yeah, me first job I buy we are." You understand? But just say, "Yeah, I am put your things right." It's not acquiring Yamabisa, but you could see the trend that every fashion designer is going through, illustrators are going through, bead makers. All these people are making it now.
Right, Tony. Obi Oha, they are working still. I need to move in a day. Utimi epam enema be saying Emma Obi. Don't even mention the prices and in terms of money, maybe quantities no.
In the quantities, no me in a day. And now I have a section that me Obana ma measure. Obana ya measure na in a day, no, because my workers match, no. I could do almost like let's say 12 dresses, garments in a day. But call me mass production section as well. And no a large quantity because and no in a day no to see a lab post for your friend saying Ministry of Health and it's a day yet me 10,000 pieces.
Okay.
You understand? It's in a day no in a week you could multiply it and we don't do hours. We do 24 hours. You understand? 24 hours we deliver on a spot and you know. A day, no, it's me more. So you push it one, it makes me even more than that 10,000 I'm speaking about.
Right. Tony, from the way you talk, I can tell how passionate you are about this job. And because I've also worked with you a little, I know how passionate you are. But just recently, now I was watching Dave Chappelle, the stand-up comedian, and he says that he's resigning, not because of anything, but he feels like he's too good at what he does, so there's no longer the drive or motivation. But you are still passionate. For a very long time, you have been passionate about what you're doing. Again, what keeps you going? What has been the motivation till now?
And then me too be for say yeah, manenya there wakuma so there sika wo obeye that is what is driving me. I wake up in the morning and I feel good that I'm a fashion designer. I feel good that I'm doing humanity. I'm dealing with humans. I speak to them. I know what they want. You understand? This work has even gotten a short to say because will be one of your clients, or there are issues that, and if the person has issues before wearing your garment, and so at the end of the day, no one say, "One I wouldn't be panic." I'm gonna be okay and sana. The outcome now then, abe and see, so open a humanity. No matter how I you know, you will make it, and it will be very like they all say. Oh, we are the normal. There's no regret to it. The matter of passion more. There's no regret to it. You will love it and you always cherish it.
Right.
Maybe we'll come back around and make a fashion designer.
Tony Adasianope, thank you so much for talking to us. Why? We've learned a lot from what you've said. Do have a good day.
All right.
Don't you feel bad for giving up on barbering?
No, I haven't given up. Me can't say me
enter that bang.
But Abna, let me put these figures into perspective. Now, if you look at Ghana's youth population, if you look at the demographics, we're looking at about 37.1% of Ghanaians, excuse me, being youth. Then again,
in about 30 seconds.
We share artisanal areas now. 26% air masons. Or share to say BB to say painting, carpentry near the idea. What you say percentages no encouraging. Into no my and Jane say ye youth. Me juma or TV station, me juma or bank, into no. But me I am coco and then punching only because I know come wasem kwabedi say be a but more asem no. If we hear dread.
It's true. It's
my engine say
because I also know the CEO for Dropping on so portrait. Say he has about 20,000 beds that he's wearing.
Into the bring about the talk could be 50 Ghana.
Why here? I don't know. Why here? And see, it's here for say if you just joined in. Now we were discussing skill sets, and then a World Youth Skill Day. And every July 15th we celebrate that. And what we are advising is, even if a white collar job crown up, PBB, not for attaching, because skills, a whole side, and it's a whole power. Can't get Diana, made Diana, made me a for sure. Diana, almost Diana, Jumana or Boca, and I will be nail. And as a maid, that whole. Everything for social segments, Nessie. Yeah, the newspaper review, Eric and Hano, Edinburgh Bremos, say, I'm going to be a wine patch.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Masa, tam Maria, I'm kind of because I am no more budget born again. Why? Have a beer, you can be right.
It's the logo of the bomb. Where you say 80
local channels na mo hwe. And so pictures ni clear. E 5 times better. Ese other channels na ko bi hwe ho. So the mention mo ntram hwe akra why. Oh, what the pictures. What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now electoral agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better star 879 hash numbers from people box and now the advert AD channels now.
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Feely promo lasts from 7 June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa pa na menya bosia, edia tre medwuma yimu.
Kai cry mabre, me busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yamamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ya wonhye ya hodo bi te se gadifo abosia, ekwokuo bosia, susu account. And that's all our savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And the keka ho. First Suhum Rural Bank was 03422919896. Now one so to miaka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka ona.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back. This is TV XYZ, and I'm in the studio with Janet Asana Nabila. She's the General Secretary of the People's National Convention, and we'll begin the discussions with her. I'm sure you are aware of the developing stories from Parliament. 3 in 1, as far as yesterday was concerned. The Finance Committee is recommending that the money for car loans should be approved. That will form part of the conversation at the latter stage. But I think the big story is about the controversy over how much government has spent on the free SHS program, i.e. past questions for final year students for 2020 and 2021. Yesterday, the Minister for Education was in Parliament, and in his submission to the House in response to a question asked by the MP for Bilsa South, Dr. Clement Park, is actually the deputy ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament. Yesterday, the minister's response was that government has spent money buying PASCO for 2 consecutive years, 2020 and the exam to be written in 2021. In 2020, for example, government's expenditure was about 33,641,043 cedis and 75 pesos, and this was used to buy 568,755 WASI past questions. And of course, a related amount was spent in 2021. And then in the story, we hear comments by the MP for Bilsa South, Clement Park, saying that he's surprised that the amount spent on the past questions for 2021 appear to have been inflated because the unit cost has jumped from almost about 63 cedis to about 75 cedis. And he's surprised that the prices of stationery did not go up within the period. And so he's suspecting some foul play. They are also questioning the single source procurement. They are also questioning the capacity of Kingdom Bookshop, which was given the sole opportunity to print the past questions. Yesterday, Dr. Park and the Deputy Minister for Education were engaged in a heated debate on this subject. I'm sure many of you may have been listening in to the snippets of the issues that came up. And so I want to begin the conversation this morning with Janet on this one. Janet, you are welcome. First of all, before we look at the controversy over past questions and how much government has spent, I'm sure you have followed this conversation about payment of salaries to First Ladies. And you have also heard about the position of the First Lady and the Second Lady, that the monies be refunded. Many are saying that the case has not died because that decision, which was approved by Parliament, if it is illegal, it should be scrapped. Then we know that it is not in our book, so that tomorrow somebody else will not come for it. How did you receive the news, especially how people reacted, either on social media or on the mainstream media space?
Let me use this opportunity to greet you. It has been long.
Yes, a long time.
And greet your viewers this morning. I also want to extend my greetings to all the PNC members across the regions, our national executives. The issue of salaries, especially to the First and Second Ladies, they even coming out to refuse the payments. To me, it is paining me. To me, I think that it is something that if they are scrubbing it off, I wouldn't want them to scrub it off, because these are people, the First and Second Ladies. We have how many now? We have this in Kufuor's.
Yeah, we know the list. Almost so, many of them are still alive.
Yes, they are still alive. And when you look at the Constitution in Article 68 has stated clearly that if you are a first or a second lady and your husband is in power, you are not supposed to engage in any business that can be able to economically benefit you because of the conflict of interest. So, for instance, and that is the reason why when a president becomes when a person wins as a president, the wife takes other rules in the country. The roles that he takes are not roles that are private roles to benefit her and some small group of people. The roles are to benefit Ghanaians. I remember our First Lady,
which year was that?
No, I remember our President John Mohammed's wife was into how to ban stop elderly women from being described as witches. In fact, she fought this issue throughout, and truly, some of the women were able to go back to their communities because she sensitized the community against such sensitized the community of how to be able to accept elderly women and not to banish them or do other things to them that was on that was not good. So he was able to do that and brought the women back to their community. A lot of the First and Second Ladies always embark on critical issues that are for the vulnerable. They do it for those people who are in need of those situations. For instance, I think that Rebecca Akufo-Addo is on how to educate people to be able to learn. You know, how to educate people to inculcate the habit of reading. It is to help Ghanaians. So their roles, it's true that we did not vote for them. The ministers that we usually pick, did we vote for them? The MMDCs people, the CEOs that we pick and we are giving the huge sums of monies, did we vote for them? Someone will now run in and tell us about Article 71 of the Constitution. Article 71, what about most of the articles in the Constitution, especially the directive principles of state policy? Article 35, Section 6B says that when government is going to do recruitment, he should look at the gender factor. Don't go and employ more men or more women. Make sure that the gender balance is taken into consideration. Now, government has employed, according to Labour Commission, government has employed 87% of men and 13% of women. And civil society organizations that have been going around crisscrossing all the media stations saying that they should not pay the First and Second Ladies because they don't deserve it, have never seen this clause in their constitution.
Okay, you are
they only see clauses
let me explain something. You are the general secretary of a party. You are a woman. Your objective is that if the PNC wins tomorrow, you will form a government and protect the public purse. Now, the Article 71 there has clear reference to those who should be captured as such. The conversation is not about whether the first ladies are getting allowance or otherwise. The conversation is that you don't have to legitimize an illegality. So it is not about whether they are supporting allowance or so on. People know that the offices of the first ladies over the years have received support. The staff who work there are being paid by the presidency as staffers. And so all these things have been in there. The illegality being legitimized is the concern people have raised. Why would you want to say that as a general secretary of a party who people are looking up to steer the affairs of the country tomorrow will close your eyes because you are a woman? And so you are fighting for a woman.
I'm not closing my eyes. I'm telling Ghanaians that they should create a room for women too. Look at the MPs and then the amount of money they are picking for car loans. Why would you pick a car loan, go and buy a car? You are using the car personally, both personally, you will use it for your personal work and your your office work in addition. And government will have to pay 60% of that amount of money for you. So why is it? I just heard that the cars have been imported and everyone is mute. It is only Ghanaians know how to be able to protect the public purse when it is women, because they don't respect the work of a woman.
When you say so,
Article 71.
When you say so, you are deviating from the critical issues, and then you are becoming emotionally influenced because you are a woman. The fact on the table is not about women.
I'm not being influenced. We are talking about Article 71.
Listen, let me put it this way. Why will a woman deliberately subscribe herself to something that is illegitimate and want to run behind gender issues and want to be,
it is not gender issues. I want the men in this country to know that this country was not created for them alone, so that when it is illegality and is favoring them, they are happy. But when it is...
Are you suggesting that the MPs who perhaps will be benefiting from the car loans, there's no woman there?
No, I'm asking. No, I'm not talking about women. That is an illegality where majority of men are being benefited. That is why everyone is mute about it.
The subject, you are reducing the subject.
I'm not reducing the subject. I'm saying that Ghanaians don't give a hoot about the Constitution of Ghana. They don't care. I just told you about article.
Who are the Ghanaians? I am a Ghanaian.
Journalists, I mean parliamentarians, ministers, the president, I mean everyone in this country.
For example, I'm a journalist. To what extent would you say that I am
When
not
have you ever spoken about Article 35, Section 6B?
What is in there?
What is there is that when government is going to recruit into ministries, public places, gender should be taken into consideration. I just told you that.
So when you say gender must be taken into consideration, can you break it down? What really are you saying?
What I'm saying is that you cannot come to, we can't apply for a job and you will pick 87% of men and 13% of women,
I'm sure that
and allow
that clause or that aspect of the Constitution has not categorically stated that let 60% be men, let 40% be
the same
women.
way the Article 71 did not say that 60% of government should pay 60% of its car loans for parliamentarians, and then the parliamentarian will pay 40%. The same way that Article 71 did not do that, but they were able to use their own minds to bring that thing into being.
Parliament,
we are not.
Let me explain something to you. We know that the Finance Committee of Parliament has made a recommendation to the House as a whole. In that recommendation, they are almost approving the loans for the members of Parliament, $28 million, about $3.5 million for the members of the Council of State. In that particular recommendation, they are saying that the conversation about putting an end to that convention should end. And they are recommending that subsequently, that is maybe 2024, it should not happen again. So the public will
So they will take it now, and it shouldn't happen again.
No, hold it. The public will speak to the issue. Now, those who have the mandate to implement it are the people who must act on it. Because you and I, as ordinary Ghanaians...
So who are those who have the mandate?
So you don't blame the media, you don't blame Ghanaians.
Who are those who have the mandate?
Specific institutions.
Who are those who have the mandate?
Parliament in this case?
Thank you. We don't even respect Parliament. Is it not Parliament that recommended that these people, as a result of trying to make sure that we don't increase corruption in the country, now we don't even know the second and first ladies, how much they are dissing, how they manage their things. Now they are trying to streamline their work so that we can be able to do more investigation on how their activities are being run.
Are you suggesting that,
and then people say they don't want that.
Are you suggesting that Trade Union Congress, civil society organizations, the minority in Parliament, which is taking the issue to court, the larger section of the populace, including people who appreciate what the law says and how the law must be effected, are you suggesting that they are not privy to the reality on the ground?
I'm saying that
they are wrong. Is that what you are suggesting?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they are misogynistic, and then they are selective when they talk of this injustice. They are not the true people that should be in court. These are people who select justice. These are people who don't. It is not the public purse. They are fighting for whatever they are fighting about, and I think it's misogynistic.
So Janet Asana Nabila is the General Secretary of the People's National Convention. Now, Janet, I'm sure you have followed proceedings in Parliament yesterday. I will share on the screen the response by the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Educhum, his response to questions about some expenses, i.e. the final year students at the senior high schools. You know, it's a novel program that has been introduced. Government identifies the senior high school education program as a priority because of the free aspect. And it is government's expectation that as many of the students will pass as possible. Now, along the line, we had COVID, and the students had to stay home beyond the double track system. And so government in its wisdom said, let's buy past questions to support the students and prepare them for exams. The nation was divided. Government went ahead, and we know the results of the exam. But it is now emerging that the past questions that was bought for the students, government spent a certain amount of money, over 33 million cedis for 1 year, that is 2020, for almost about 450,000 plus past questions. How did this response come to you when it became public yesterday?
When you look at our educational system, government buying past questions for students is a call in the right direction, because I attended a school in a village whereby our parents could not afford to buy us question papers. Question papers. We did not even get to know about the question papers before even going in to write the examination. It wasn't the way things were done were not fair, because we were in the village over there, nothing, even how to even get light. When I was going to write JHS, we were not having light at that time. So you have to use a lantern now to even think of question papers. We didn't even have those things. So for government to now try to go a little step further to buy examination, question papers for students, I think it's a call in the right direction. The only problem now is the cost. But if it is about the examination questions, it's a call in the right direction. And I think that these questions and answers, I heard that they are questions and answers. It will help those in the rural villages build their capacity to be able to face the challenges of examinations. And my problem...
I want you to think about this question, because I want to introduce my second guest.
Okay.
Because you come from a typically deprived region, I am sure you know the schools there, their needs. And this time, we are not limiting the amount spent to SHS. We are looking at education at the basic level. We'll be looking at priorities and be finding out whether this priority was politically motivated for a certain intended result, or it was taken in terms of national interest based on the needs assessment. We'll be looking at this when we come back after the break. I will introduce Abigail Elom. Abigail Elom Akwambia Mensah. She's the National Deputy Women's Organizer of the NDC. She will join us after the short break.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always brave, fresh, natural, eggs, mineral, water.
You still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Xyz Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. This is TV XYZ. I was speaking to Janet Asana Nabela, the General Secretary of the PNC. And now I'm in the studio with Abigail Elom Akwambia Mensah. She's the National Deputy Women's Organizer of the NDC. So today it's Women's Affair. Madam, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, before you came, I was trying to pull the legs of Janet on the controversy over either spousal salaries or allowance or whatever. Let me take your brief comment. You're a woman.
Yeah.
And it's somebody will say women's affair. How do you respond to criticisms, attacks, reactions, rejection, and the seeming anger and the tone that reflected in the statement by the First Lady, for example, that I don't want any more allowance?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to yourself, and good morning, Janet, and good morning to your viewers. I think that for me, when I heard of the rejection from the First Lady, I sensed anger. I sensed something like, well, you people should take your money. I don't want it again, you know. And that was what I sensed, and I thought it wasn't a good reaction to the public anger and public uproar of what has happened. When you look at how this whole allowance started, as narrated by Honorable Atudazi, it was for a good cause. And I stand by the fact that I want the state to continue supporting our first ladies and our former and the second ladies, you know. Some little form of support at the end of every month, because you see, when you see how some of them are surviving now, especially the former ones, those who have lost their husbands and they are there alone, there's nothing they are doing. So, you know, when something support, some form of support goes to them, it helps them to manage around life, you know. But our problem was when it was turned into an Article 71 office holders kind of salary and no more allowance and salary. And we are like, look, you are not an Article 71.
Yes, it's an illegality. But there's a school of thought, and that has been advanced by those who are trying to rationalize the decision or the recommendation that, look, if you say allowance and there's no ceiling and there's no way of monitoring how the public purse is being given to the offices of the first ladies, either before or in future, why don't we fine-tune it? And so maybe the committee may have made a mistake by categorizing them under Article 71 holders. But at least there's going to be a certain regime that will ensure that if it is X, it is X, and you don't go beyond.
We don't have a problem. Our issue is that as it stands now, they don't merit the amount of money that has been suggested to be given to them, or that has been given to them already. We are saying that as a first lady, as a second lady, yes, you do a lot of work. You go around in the name of the state. Sometimes you represent your husband when he's not there. You do a lot of work for the state. Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, I know, has done a lot of projects with her foundation. I know some state institutions have given her money and all that for some of the projects she's undertaking. If you want to make them salaried executives or salaried persons in the country, then obviously there's a legal way to go about it. And that legal way should be followed.
Okay.
So, rather than just putting them under Article 71 office holders and then making them enjoy what they have not worked for.
You don't feel that the way the public handled the thing perhaps sounded like they are not being sensitive again towards the plight of women?
No. You see, we shouldn't look at it that way. Right. If we look at it that way, then we will be going into another debate altogether.
Because it is not the subject for discussion today, I only wanted to take your thoughts. I've spoken to Janet. She's advanced related commentary from your submission. But the only thin line is that she feels like when it comes to women and issues, the public appears not to care, but we go all out. And in the case of MPs, for example, the public is not being as aggressive as we were when the announcement was made about
the car loans
and so on. But it will be part of the conversation later.
Okay.
But we were on the responses by the Minister for Education to monies spent on the free senior high school students, i.e. their final exam. Janet was on the floor, and I'm asking Janet about whether the decision taken in terms of the prioritization on how monies allocated to the ministry should be spent was appropriate. She thinks that the thought of giving the students access to past questions is not bad. And she thinks that especially in the deprived communities, that is where they need it most. And before you sat, I was asking her the question that looking at all the needs at the basic and secondary level and hearing so much money spent on past questions, whether it's appropriate. So she'll respond, and I'll give you time to also speak to the issue. So, Janet, let me come back to you.
Spending so much money on past questions, then we look at the number of students that wrote the exams. How many students wrote the WASSCE exams for 2020 or 2021?
Now, the ministry is talking about 440,000 plus for 2020 2021, according to the figures we have here, the past questions bought is in the region of 568,755 exam questions. And this for actually 2020, and 2021 is slightly lower. So in a nutshell, it's in the region of 500,000 per year on the average.
So looking at the number of people that wrote last year is lower than this year, or what are you saying? You said the number of...
It doesn't matter. I think what you are referring to is that the volume of past questions bought may merit the amount spent. That's
and then the amount and the amounts. I've seen 33.6, but I've not seen the other 2020's amount. I don't know how much that one, or they've not yet brought out a figure for it. I don't know.
The total amount of money spent, according to the Minister for Education,
for the two
is 68,513,455 for a total of 1,035,733 exam questions over the period.
Yeah, looking at the two, there's just on slide this, and so it means they've been consistent when it comes to the examination past questions. As I was saying, getting the past questions is good. Advising the students to study and come out with flying colors is another thing, because I've been having problems with WAEC. I don't see the reason why people send their children to school. These children will get up very early in the morning to go to school, and upon all the suffering, they will have to copy in order to be able to get to the next institution. That have always been my problem, how they handle our children. So if these question papers are supposed to help the students to be self-reliant, to be able to go and write this examination without any malpractices, I would be happy. I will be happy, because looking at the two, the year 2020 and the 2021, there are no differences. You will look at the amount and realize that it's not like, I thought maybe one amount was higher than the other, so that we could be able to do critical look into it to find out where the abnormalities were coming from. But looking at 68,000 divided by this, and there's just a slight amount
so
of
I'll
money.
take this to be your initial submission to the contrast over the amount and whether the priorities have been set right. So let me go back to my other guest. Your response to this development, has it come as a surprise?
Seriously, it's come as a big surprise. You know, when we were in JHS and SHS, nobody was buying past questions for us. We had to sit and study. We had to find a way of getting past questions if we really needed them to aid our study. But to the extent that the state is spending almost 78 cedis per paper from what they have written, from what they have brought, it means they got for each child 78 Ghana cedis. And I thought that that could have done a lot for this country. Is it that the children could not study enough? Is it that is the past questions that was going to make them pass the exams? Didn't the teachers teach them well? You know, it brings out a lot of questions. So then I remember Professor Nana Jenopokwajiman in an interview where she spoke about this, that the children were being made to study past questions. Is it that, you know, you are doing chew and pour? They chew the past questions because they know that this was going to come in the exams. They chew all that into their head, and then they go and pour it out at the end of the day. They forget everything, and then they move on. Is that the kind of children we want to produce at the end of the day for this country? I think that it is very bad, looking at even the amount of money that we have invested in this. I'm not surprised they were all over jubilating about the number of students that had passed the exams and all that. In fact, that came at this cost. It means that that passing that they are talking about came at this cost. And that is unbelievable.
But if the ultimate of educating a child is to make sure the child passes and gets access to higher levels of education, should this cost?
No, but
I'm
see,
playing
Eric,
a devil's advocate.
Eric,
in
you
this
don't need you don't need the past questions to be able to make it to the next level.
Why?
That's what I'm saying. We made it to the next level without anybody buying past questions for us. We studied. Our teachers taught us. We studied. And we made sure that we produced what we had studied. Why should the state buy past questions when there are students sitting in classrooms without chairs? You are thinking about somebody graduating and passing to the next level. You are not thinking about the one who is now coming up. You spend this amount and then you get people go to sit in classrooms without chairs. They will be lying on the floor writing. And then you call it priority as a ministry. I don't think that it's a good priority. I don't think so.
Now, do you have any reaction to, because she seems to disagree with you, because in your submission, the impression I get is that if the ultimate is to get the students pass, it's good. If you look at the amount spent, it is not so alarming. And she disagrees with that position.
Yeah, but myself and her, we are almost on the same path, because he's saying that the students studied, and me too, I want them to study. I don't want them to do any examination malpractice in order to come out successfully. But I heard you say that 78 Ghana, each student spends 78 Ghana cedis. With the 78 Ghana cedis, we have 12 courses that these students are doing. With each course, you have to print the question papers plus the answers to...
Let's situate this conversation properly. There is a state called Ghana. That state has monies, what we call the public purse. Disbursements are made every financial year to the various ministries, departments, and agencies. So you have the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education encompasses all the levels, and we know the challenges they have. And so if a government tells you that we are spending 38 million, 33 million, 68 million for exam questions alone, without taking into consideration the other needs, without taking into consideration how they arrived at even the decision to award the contract to a specific entity to supply the books. And if you look at Dr. Park here, the past questions, and Dr. Park is saying, for example, that the previous year, the amount spent, according to the breakdown, was 59 cedis per unit for the exam papers. That's the past questions. And then the next year, it jumped to 78 cedis per one. And they are asking questions about what informed the price differential. And so there's the suspicion of misappropriation or maybe abusing the state funds. There's a question in there about priority, as she said, whether in Ghana, our thinking is that let's prepare the student to pass or let's address the problems on the ground. And so breaking it down to how many students and how much was spent, it means that you are not even placing value on other things which are of priority to the same sector.
Getting examination questions for students is a priority, because it's a big priority. You can study all the books. If you don't look at the terminology of how the a teacher or the lecturer asks questions and the way he wants you to answer the question, you will study. That is the reason why we're scoring low marks. We were doing a lot of studying, but how to tackle questions, how to be able to buy into the examiner's head was very difficult. I still insist that the provision of these question papers to our students, especially those in the rural areas, is a great achievement. Except that you have said something about the awarding of the contract. Yeah, we can look at that one. How was the contract awarded? Did they do, is it procurement? What did they do? How did they pick Kingdom Bookshop to be the only?
It was sole sourcing.
So that is not good. So on that aspect, we can hold the government on it and tell the government that he didn't do well.
The minister says there was a value for money which was considered, and it was WAEC which actually selected Kingdom Bookshop because for them, Kingdom Bookshop, even though they are not publishers, could supply the past questions. There was an element in there whether any other entity could have supplied it. And the minister's response, from what I've monitored, is that WAEC has the sole right to the exams their students have been writing. And so nobody else can go and publish without the approval by WAEC. So these have been the explanations out there.
Those explanations are not good enough for us. They are not good enough. These are not questions that the WAEC are setting. No, they are just examination. They are past questions. So it doesn't matter which organization prints it. They shouldn't have done sole sourcing. With the sole sourcing thing, I object to that, and I think that they flawed on that part. My sister thought I was disagreeing with what she was saying, but no, I wasn't disagreeing. I'm just saying that the past provision of the past questions is true that we have other mountainous issues at the basic school level. Children are still studying under trees. A lot of things that we need to do. But we can't say that with that one too, we shouldn't equip our students well to be able to write. But the value for money is what we should always go for. Maybe because of the coronavirus, it made prices of goods and services. I realized I went to the market. Anytime I go to market, prices of things increase. And I've been asking the market women what is happening. They said for as much as the prices of fuel will go up, our prices will also go up. So I don't know what translated to 759 and 7. Maybe it's the...
Abigail, Abigail, I don't know your response to this.
I think that we should prioritize as a country. These teachers that mark the exams papers of the children, they are the same teachers that teach them. So getting into the mind of the examiner is not the ultimate now. The teacher who is teaching you in class, if you listen to the teacher very well, when I was in school, I always, like the SHS, I always made sure I didn't miss class, because for me, it's when you are teaching, when you are talking, then I'll be putting it down. I'll be putting it down. So when I'm in the exam hall, I always recollect what the teacher was saying in class. And it is always these same teachers that WAEC recruits at the end of the exams to go and mark the papers. So it's neither here nor there. If we set our priorities right, we wouldn't be spending this much money to go and buy question papers for students to
When
go.
you say if we set our priorities right, what specifically are you referring to?
We know that our children now go to school and they do 2 weeks and they come home. Because before they will settle in school, you know, usually when you go to school, when you report, the first week is normal socialization and things. Teachers will come to class, they won't really do anything. The second week, the third week, maybe they will teach. The fourth week, then they are telling you that green people are coming, yellow people, the traffic light has set in. So the students are unable to learn. Teachers don't have enough time to teach their children. And you can't lay this problem at the doorstep of anybody other than the President of the Republic of Ghana. Because it was his initiative that brought this free SHS. When President Mahama was there and he was saying that, look, as much as we want free, we must look at access. You get it? So that students will have enough space. We will build more schools. So let me start with this free day, which we started. We were progressing. The day students were going free. Then we were building more infrastructure so that by the time, I'm sure if President Mahama was in power by now, then by now we would have had enough infrastructure, and we are looking at bringing in the boarding people to onboard the free, to make secondary school completely free for our students. But President Akufo-Addo says no. Rather, he will do free SHS. And then he gets on board, and now we are doing traffic lights. where we have green, yellow, and blue, and what? Red. And red. And now red people will go 1 month, come and stay home 3 months. And then green people will go 1 month, come and stay home 3 months. And all this is making the children, they are not able to, because you have just a little time to study in school, then you come home and stay for 3 months.
That looks like one of the critical issues on the board that we'll discuss. But I have on the line Ni Ama Abe, is a lead fellow at the Education Center for Social Justice. Let me speak to him just 5 minutes on this controversy. Good morning, Ni. Ni, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning to you and good morning to our listeners.
Yes, we are happy to speak to you this morning. How has this come to you? News about money spent on past questions and the justification for it.
It's very sad. It's very sad that for a country that is saddled with a lot of educational infrastructural problems, almost 34 million will be spent on past questions. I mean, what is the rationale for this? It tells you how poor our education is being planned. Because one, at what duration of time were these past questions given to the students? I mean, if you gave them a past questions 1 month or 2 months to examination, and you tell me you've given them from 2015 to 2020 thereabout, I mean, within that period of time, how much are they going to digest? I mean, is our education towards examination or is towards education for life? That is one. Two, I mean, we thought it's PP, public-private participation, where a private company was given the sole sourcing to print that thing. WAEC, which has the sole right for the examination questions and the examiner's report, is a government institution. It's a government agency. Okay, so that every single school in Canada has written the BEC before has those past questions. A proper curriculum planning means that we have to factor this into the educational program. So that if at the last semester of Form 3, you say that part of the curriculum would have examination question solving. So that the teacher for that specific subject, and these are only 4 subjects here we're talking about, the teacher comes to the class, he takes the students through the questions and the answers, and then the examiner's report. If we do this over a semester, which is 6 months, but even if you ask me, I would say that we should throw this into the curriculum for 1 year. If we do this over 1 year or 6 month period, we are sure that the students are going to learn through the process, ask questions, digest whatever they will be taught. But if you just throw these answer booklets to them a month or 2 to exams, I mean, it doesn't end us anything. I mean, huge money could have been saved there. Because, I mean, a whole school needs, I mean, examiners report from WAEC cannot be hidden from any secondary school in Ghana. Out of fact, the various teachers in the various schools
have access to them.
Okay, so I mean, this is a whopping loss of money to the state, a huge sum of loss of money to the state. And even going forward, I do not expect them to say that we're going to do it again. And look at the time. I mean, we are in the middle of July. When is the exam written? August, September? When are you going to give it to them? When are you going to procure it and give it to them? And these past questions that we're talking of here, once the students finish the exams, it becomes a waste. So tell me that you've been out of the example, 1,000 that you gave out to students, you'll be able to retrieve 800 back. Therefore, this year, we are only adding a small quantity to it, and it's going to save us cost. But what are we doing? What are we doing in education management?
So what will you fault?
When we have scarce resources?
What will you fault?
Again, the most important point here is that in the minister's statement, he said that this was done for deprived schools so that they will also be able to pass the exam. Show us the table that says that out of doing this number of deprived schools were able to pass so well and have accessed the university. Show us the table. Let the statistics speak for itself. Don't tell us 50% have passed. 50% from where? Because if the focus is it's a poverty alleviation thing. If the focus is to help the poor, deprived schools, bring out the statistics of those deprived schools and what they got out of the exercise that you enter. So we know we have value for money.
Okay, so $33 million times 2. for 2 years for exam questions.
So
the students
in dollars, not in currency.
In cedis, times 2.
Yes, I thought, yes.
Times 2 for students who will eventually take these books home and just leave them there. So I subscribe to the position that it is virtually waste when we cannot keep them in the school. But we know that every other year, the WIEX examiners report is released to the schools. They are supposed to guide teachers to help to prepare the students for the next exams. So Charles is privy to all these things. We know that many of the schools have access to some of these exam questions, and they have their own schedules to help the students to prepare them for exams. Now, Charles, the teacher unions, the various stakeholders in the educational sector, especially GES and so on, could they have spoken strongly against this policy direction, or their silence is part of where we are now, where we need money for infrastructure, but we don't have it because we have just thrown it on things for political parochial interest?
You see that you have to reflect into the issues in order for you to be able to speak out. So I want to think that, I mean, since it came up only yesterday, they're probably reflecting into the issues and putting themselves up to make a statement. But this is an outright big law. I mean, for anybody who sits where I sit as an expert in education, as one who has studied educational leadership and management, straight away on the face of it, I can tell you that a huge loss of money to the state. If you tell me to do it again this year, what happened to the ones you did last year? I mean, it means that proper planning did not go into it. Proper planning did not go into the distribution of the books to the school. It should have been a property of the school, from the library, where students can go pick a copy from the library, sign their name to it, and when they do not return it, they are still charged for it. So that we save costs. For that sake, we are a country that needs so much money for educational development. So these bodies, these educational bodies, DCT, GNAT, NAGRAS, etc., I want to think that they're putting themselves together to respond to this, because this is not something that we should countenance at all.
Okay, so Ni, I'm so grateful to you. Niama Abe is a lead fellow for Education Center for Social Justice. We are so grateful for your time this morning.
Social justice, yes.
Good.
Social justice.
Right, we are so grateful for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
Right, so Janet, I get the impression, and I want us to be brief on this so that we can spend the last few minutes on Parliament, because it is one of the issues we want to discuss. I get the impression that, look, we may have wasted money for lack of planning, because the students, as he put it, would have taken these past questions home. If we are preparing students for 2021, are we going to print only 2020 past questions? Obviously, we may go back. If you look at the amount involved in terms of the allocation to Kingdom Bookshop to print, get these past questions available, would you agree that we have wasted money? Or you still stand by the computation you did? No, I'm thinking what he's saying makes sense. Because if you are printing past questions, you won't go and just print maybe 2019 or only 2018. Past questions, you will go far. So I don't know. So this year's past questions, so those are the questions we should be trained to them, so that we get answers to or get explanation before we make a decision. We take a stand. Which question years did they print last 2020? Which years questions did they print? They will tell us. Then we ask them 2021. 2015 to 2019. 19 and 2021 now. Which ones are they printing? They have just given us the cost involved. So the public concern is about the priority we have placed on spending so much on exam questions. So you said 2015 to the students need other things, i.e. the various resources, infrastructure, for example, it's true. To study. So 2015 to 2019, the other students coming can still use it. They were not supposed to give the question papers for them to send it home. You don't do that, because this truly we are a third world country, and we are supposed to be saving money, not to be misusing or misappropriating money. Janet, let me take your concluding remark on this, then we spend some few more minutes on this MP's thing, on the same issue. Nee made some strong points. You subscribe to it, or you have a different view on some of the issues?
I think he's made a lot of statement that if government will listen and adhere to. Because you see, when these students are in school and over a 1 year period or over a 6 months period, you are taking them as part of the syllabus, you are teaching them how to solve questions. Then, of course, at the end of the day, there wouldn't be the need for this past questions that we are buying at this whooping amount. So I think that those who put our syllabus together, those who plan on what this free SHS all is about, they should reason with him and then go into it and see how best we can do what he's talking about. Because if it's over a 6 months period, over a 1 year period, then obviously you wouldn't need this 2 months period to go and buy past questions and give to students. Some of the students, even you give these past questions to them, and I tell you, they'll still go and fail.
Okay. I remember when I was a student, what I observed was that at any time we finish our exams, the school had a soft arrangement with parents. So when we finish writing our exam, the school collects, especially the objective papers, they collect them and keep them in the library. So every student will have access to as many past questions that are going to be available. So you have every student, a few difficult students took theirs away. But majority of the students left their questions and they were actually compiled. You have your index number on it and so on. And so when we are being prepared for exam, the subject teacher goes to the library, brings the exam questions out, and then they distribute them, and then we work. Sometimes a teacher may think that because some of the students actually shade some of the questions or try to solve some of them on the exam question, what they do is they write them on the board or they read for us to listen and answer. I'm sure if you're looking at the public purse and we place value on the money because we struggle to get money to develop aspects of the things we need in some of these sectors, anybody who feels for Ghana will look at the money and whether the decisions are of interest to the state and not for the interest of a certain interest that is parochial. At this stage, I want us to speak briefly to the concern she raised about MPs and whether their decision to defer the cancellation of the policy, the car loan policy, to next year and not now, whether it is appropriate or they were thinking about their selfish interest. I don't know your opinion on this.
Well, this car loan thing, I think even some of the MPs themselves have said continuously that it is an illegality because they are Article 71 office holders. They don't know why some other office holders, cars are bought for them, fueled for them. Some even there's a pool of cars. When you are going somewhere, you just go and pick it and you go. So they don't understand why they now have to take loans which will be deducted from their salaries at the end of the month and all that. When I was coming, I was listening to one MP. He says at the end of every month, they take almost close to 8,000 from his salary towards the car loan. So it means that it is not like we are dashing the money to them. They pay back.
They don't actually pay back all. The state absorbs 60% of the car loan. And then they also get tax waivers. If you look at the back of the Daily Dispatch, for example, and I want to quote one particular paragraph which makes reference to the waiver. Now, if you look at this, MPs to get $11 million tax waivers on the $28 million dollar car loan. And it goes on to talk about the plan. I think the focus is not really about whether they can pay or otherwise. Some are saying if it's not good, for example, for the first ladies to take, let's say, salaries, then it is equally not good for the MPs. And the deferment to next time, but we are receiving it now, is what is generating the public interest.
So I think that since it's an illegality, we should agree that it is an illegality. They are Article 71 office holders. They are not supposed to take car loans to buy cars. The state should do the needful. If it is possible to provide them a pool of cars where everybody can go in. Because this 11 million tax waiver that you are going to give to them, it can buy cars. And we can put it there. If an MP is traveling, or if an MP is on official assignment, you go for it. And then, or probably you can buy for them at the end of their service. They leave it. The next person comes, he also uses it. But then again, then you are going to look at drivers. Then the state will have to employ drivers, pay drivers and all.
But they have drivers already.
But they are being paid by personal, the state. No. The state is paying their personal drivers. Does the state pay their personal drivers? Those that drive them.
They give them has a component that is supposed to be
paying their
taking
drivers.
Care of the drivers and so on and so forth.
Okay, so then it means that it is something the
state
can...
So it's a bigger conversation that has been looked
at.
Would it have been appropriate? Somebody sent me a text message that, look, it is not about whether the MPs are approving or not, because the executive took it to Parliament that this is what we are allocating to the House to buy cars for MPs, and this is the amount we are allocating for the purchase of vehicles to members of the Council of State. The executive can so decide that, look, because of the conversation today, I want to put a stop to it. Would you be surprised if the state had decided to go ahead like that?
Our parliamentarians are supposed to be honorables. When they give you the name honorable, it has implications. So I expect them, I don't want to talk about the executives, I expect them to refuse or decline these cars that I have heard they have already imported and they are on their way to Ghana. I expect our parliamentarians who are supposed to not be above citizens, who are supposed to be feeling what their constituents are feeling, so that they can be able to make informed judgment in Parliament to help the needy in society. I expect them to reject these car loans and go and get personal loans to buy their own cars. Why should government pay 60% of the car loans so that the parliamentarian will pay 40%? Meanwhile, the car is for him. I expect government to go out there and get cars. Let's get have a maintenance culture for these cars. Other people are doing it. The assistant schools, their heads, they are still using 2013 cars that others came and used. They are still using it because they have a maintenance culture that they have observed all these years and they have preserved it. So let government provide MPs with vehicles. Let them give them petrol and tell them that it's for only...
I've seen an article attributed to comments by Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh, CDD. And he's saying that, look, all this boils down to the clauses in the 1992 Constitution which needs to be reviewed and should have been done long time ago, even when the late President Atamos was alive, and that went through a process of review. As we speak, the president has so much powers, there are so many ambiguous clauses in there, which is ending up helping us, or we are abusing to deprive the average Ghanaian of some little enhancement in terms of development. Is it appropriate now, yes or no? And let me send same question to you, Janet, when I come back. Sorry.
So if the executive have too much powers, I know that our president is a human rights activist, and he knows things. He has been fighting for the vulnerable in society. So I think it is time that we look at these clauses and we remove them. Okay. Because too much power for one, this thing is not...
Abigail, do you support the same thing?
I think that, like you said, Prof. Mills's time, that discussion came up and all that, and then at the end we were like, the state can't provide the pool of cars and then the drivers. So like I said, it's a bigger conversation that we need to have. And then if we think that the state will be able to go ahead and provide the cars, we should do that rather than give them the car loans. At the end of the day, we are paying 60% again. Why don't we add the 40% and then just give the cars to them to use? And then when they are leaving, they put it back.
Okay, so let me read a few text messages. This one says, good morning, TVXYZ. Please, I would want to inform you that the PNC lady that now textbooks come with past questions, and buying Pasco appears as if we don't think. Pasco, and goes on, and this one is Courage from Ho. I think I've seen a couple of these textbooks available at some of the bookshops. Now, correct score Zakaria from Sunya says, if you are not a thief, what do you fear the police? Who asked Rebecca Kufadu to refund the money she took? I'm not sure. I want to subscribe to the insult. I don't think she's a thief. She received money paid to her by the state. She has returned it because she cannot cope with the public anger or pressure. Calling her a thief, I think it's inappropriate. John Mahama Aka Papano, community husband, decided to cancel our hardworking teachers and allowances, nurses allowance, and use the money to pay his wife. I don't think that is what happened. Now, we are in a country where integrity is held in low esteem. Almost every leader's integrity is in tatters. How can the Chief Justice be alleged to have engaged in bribery just to bury a case? To me, whether true or not, I think it is the lower side that our leaders could get into. Now, this one came from Asamankese Samuel Boachi says, indeed, Ghana needs to be fixed, and seriously, we need money to fix this country. And if this is this whopping amount is in the pocket of Madam, it goes on and on, Madam Lodina, I don't think that's the subject now. Just Janet must know that before salaries of the president was determined, it was also considered that the president will have dependents, including his wife, and so on and so forth. Therefore, finding an excuse for them to be paid because they are the president's wife is unacceptable. Good morning, Mr. Eric and XYZ. I've seen a letter from Keskain Obusu to Shraj that they should help them to refund the money Mrs. Lodina Mahama received when her husband was in office. So we'll follow and then share the details with you. Good morning, Eric. I am not surprised that this shallow-minded government is using the amount to buy Pasco because the president himself came out and teaching is not a good job. And it goes on and on. Sir Bronzy sent this from Manso Abori. I'll read one more text message. This one says, in fact, Nado is a liability and a disgrace to the presidency. He has really turned the presidency to a den of thieves. Let me put it this way. That's basically, I'll keep that short. Last one says, Asiedun Ketia and NDC under what circumstance was Mahama paying his wife Lodina? Tell that to the world. Obviously, the debate on the payment to the president's wives, past or present, is on. That's where we bring the curtain to an end. Any brief comment, 30 seconds, Abigail, from you first, to your viewers before we wrap up.
I would just tell them that those who are worried about demonstrations that are going to happen against Mrs. Mahama, that if she doesn't return any money and all that, they shouldn't worry. Once the MPP does a demonstration against Mrs. Mahama, women in NDC will also do against Mrs. Kufuor and the likes, former Aliu Mahama's wife. They should all return it. If that is how they want the conversation to go, then we are asking that all other former first ladies and all other former second ladies should bring back the allowances they have been given.
But is it
allowance. well, if that is what they are saying, because I heard MP for Tano North today saying that the MPP women are going to demonstrate against Mrs. Mahama if she doesn't bring the money. So I'm just urging our women that they shouldn't worry. Mrs. Mahama has not taken any money illegally. She has not received any salary from the state. And so she's okay.
Okay. Now, brief comment.
Thank you. If they are throwing glasses at your neighbor's house and you are watching and you are happy, it will come back to you. You're a woman. Gender issues should not be politicized, whether you are in MPP or NDC. So I'm telling both MPP and NDC women that their gender perspective in this country is so bad. They should change their way of life and support each other, no matter where the person is coming from. PNC will be organizing we have a celebration, will be 29 years on the 27th of this month. So we are inviting Radio XYZ.
Will be there, TV XYZ will be there,
yes,
Power FM will be there.
At Best Premier Western Hotel on the 27th.
So make sure you remind us again.
We will.
And our TV cameras will be there. So Janet Asana Nabila is the General Secretary of the PNC, and Abigail Elom Akwambia Mensa is a Deputy National Women's Organizer of the NDC. Thank you for your time this morning. And bye for now. Tomorrow we'll meet again.